Hey Honest community, before we dive into this episode, we've got a quick free favour to ask. If you enjoyed the Honest Property podcast, please hit like, follow and subscribe wherever you're listening from. It helps us grow, reach more people and bring on guests that you want to hear from. Thanks for being a part of this. We appreciate you more than you know.
Hello and welcome to the Honest Property podcast. We're your hosts Becky and Ruth, and we love talking all things property and modern entrepreneurship. And in this episode, we are talking about a requested topic, which is how do you find and measure alignment in your business? And this is something that we have really been focused in the last 2 years, but especially the last year. This question came up from a member of the Aligned Wealth Collective. And I think it's been very clear that we've been going this way because there are seasons, especially as an entrepreneur or property investor, that you go through. And we are definitely in the phase now where we wish that we kind of had this approach from the beginning, this was a lot clearer for us to do from the beginning. Which is why we kind of bang on about it a lot now to help you save yourself from the mistakes and effort and stress that we've been through that weren't always necessary along the way. To be fair, I do think some of it is necessary, and you don't know what you don't know. But obviously, learn from people who've already been through it, just to save you so much.
We were on a podcast as a guest for Vicky Woosh, and she put it really nicely, which was the truth, which is when you're in the beginning of your journey, especially as like from a property investor perspective, but also as an entrepreneur, because we had another business that was nothing to do with property, you are in acquisition mode. And so you're doing everything to make sure that you are that's what you see a lot of, like on social media online, that everyone looks like they're constantly doing something. Hustle. But there is truth in that. When you're in the beginning of something, you're excited, it's all brand new. But also when we were in our 20s, we had a lot more energy. But I guess like we've always had, our values have always been strong, but there have been times where maybe there has been misalignment of how we presented ourselves, or how we or where the spaces that we showed up in maybe weren't so aligned. Would you say that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think because we felt like you had to be a certain way or do certain strategies or apply yourself in a kind of sacrificial state in order to get a lot of things done, which is like always going to be a bit true at the beginning. But that doesn't mean that is the state you stay in. And I think when you're building something in your acquisition mode, you feel kind of like that is the mode you're always going to be in forever in order to progress. But it's not sustainable or realistic, or even really like it's easy to lose sight of why you're doing it in the first place. And it's not to be in this grind state, it's to achieve the objective, which for most people is, for us at least, it was time and location freedom and financial health, time back to spend with our loved ones, or hobbies, or doing the things that we enjoy doing, whether it's traveling the world, eating out, or it's more experiential things. That was our reason, and it was our businesses were kind of consuming all of our time, and tying us down without us realizing it, until burnout kind of happened, and we realized that we were being thrown off of track. So the Aligned Wealth Collective was born because we wanted to create a space online that was for people who, we wanted to bring people together who were in the same sort of mindset as us, that things we're doing is to achieve a lifestyle that we actually wanted, not losing sight, like building a life by design and with intention, and not accidentally being like, oh, I think at least for me, there's a like I know we're like entrepreneurially minded. I get so excited by brand new ideas and new ways of doing things and the potential in so much stuff. And for me, the issue is making sure that I don't accidentally, whatever that new possibility is, have it absorb all the time in my day, because that's really all you have. Like, that's the greatest currency, your time. And is that really where you want your life to be spent, pursuing that thing? We've been very honest. It's obviously also why we're called the Honest Property Sisters, that we were drawn in by things that strayed away from our mission, like different property strategies. And to be fair, you don't know until you try it whether it's like the right thing for you.
And also, as well, in entrepreneurship is having acceptance and acknowledgement when you are actually done with a business that consumed and loved, but sometimes that love can go into a new business model. I think sometimes you get warped. I think we get warped into. I think what happened for me anyway was that with I compared what we ran as a business to a corporate, in a corporate way, that of a boomer corporate way where you stayed in it for 30 years. And I think maybe in my own head, from a personal perspective, I thought, oh, we had to continue this for so many years. But there was, you grieve letting a business go, and acceptance of saying, oh no, I really did enjoy that time when, in that season of my life, and that it's okay to pursue other businesses that now spark your interest, and start that. And I think maybe um, we got so engrossed in, oh, this was how like life was, that you forget to think creatively of like different opportunities on how you want to work. And so that's like where the alignment drifted, and now we're back in alignment of feeling energized with newer ideas for newer opportunities that kind of became sluggish with past business models that how we used to run.
Can you give a more specific example?
I mean, like with our last business, we created systems. We created systems for it. But it became like there wasn't anything else to add, you know? Like we created it, it worked, but there was nothing else to add to it, but it worked, you know?
What was it?
The pet care business.
Like
we already
like there was a cap. There was a cap before it became
but,
stressful.
Yeah, there's a cap of how much you can improve it, that we were like, there was nothing else we could add to it. So then are we still in alignment with feeling like we can improve this business or not, and realizing that there was nothing else to improve, and to accept that, okay, our time is done.
Yeah, I keep hearing things about like business acquisition and people collecting businesses, and they run them, like you buy them and you improve them. And I think even like, I think for me, I would need to be, I'd need to see it more than a numbers business, and that applied to our own businesses. Like I can't just, I want there to be a passion and a care, and not just treat it as just figures and numbers. Like obviously that matters, but I think the survival and longevity and sustainability of business, even if it's not working out, depends on the people aspect and you being passionate about it. So I know there's a lot of business models out there that are like, on paper do really, really well. And this is what we did with a different business, which was the rent to service accommodation model. But was our heart really in it?
I think also to add, I think we really enjoy a lifestyle business. I think
Yeah.
that's the term, isn't it? We really thrive and love a lifestyle business where we feel like we are involved, but we do have systems in place. But I don't know
Mm.
what you call the other business model when you just see like everything in business as just a number and there's no emotion attached to any of it. But I can't remember what the term is called when you just say, oh,
Mm.
acquisition for a business and you don't really think beyond.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if you're putting money into stocks and shares, then it's like it is pretty. It's I mean, it's
Emotion.
very personal how you. It is personal how you choose to invest because even if you put things in stocks and shares, you could choose funds that are more ethical, like or
Okay.
global or really local. Like there's lots of ways to do it so that, but it's still like it's still pretty passive, you know? It's still like out of your distance, you're distanced from the situation. Whereas if you are starting a business or you're acquiring a business, there is a bit more. There should be. I mean, should is like I don't know, controversial word, but I think there needs to be a bit of heart in there, a bit of passion in there in what you're doing, and feeling a fulfillment in it.
And
Um,
that's the alignment.
Pardon?
And that's the alignment.
Yeah, I think so. Because we did rent a service accommodation, and on paper it was working well, and it did do well until the moving parts became flawed or
The
certain.
moving parts became flawed. I can admittedly say that yes, it made um, it, the on paper the money that we make from it was very promising, but actually, what it wasn't aligned because it took me away more from my son. That so it was completely not aligned. We worked a lot longer doing it compared to
Putting
like our
out
other business.
fires. As much as you
Putting out
systemize it, there are fires to put out, more fires to put out, yeah.
it was just so energy consuming, a lot more energy consuming, and realized that it really wasn't for us.
Yeah, and I think if it's going to take your energy and you're not getting the rewards back in a combination of it being fulfilling and making money and enjoyment, then it's not worth it. And that's when you lose track of your alignment.
I
But
have a
I would
controversial
go on.
thing to say as well, because sometimes you can say, oh, people say, oh, they make their hobby their, like, become a business and then they fall out of love
Mm.
with it. So should every hobby become suddenly a business and make money from it? Because that is also going, oh, now I feel aligned in doing something that I absolutely love and enjoy. But then when you add then a whole business model on top of it, people quickly fall out of love. So sometimes people say, I mean, I still believe in like being able to do something that you're passionate about, or, but I do also think you can have multiple passions and you can just turn one of them into a business model. But maybe it doesn't always have to be your absolute favorite passion, you know? It's controversial about turning your passion into a business, which would then be a real alignment.
I
What
think
is your
it's
thoughts?
so. I think a couple things that, um, yeah, you can, um, as long as it makes financial sense and it like the margins are enough for you to not feel under pressure and depend on your business to survive. So say the profit margins on your business are actually pretty high, um, then it's like it's obviously less pressure and you can make it work figures wise, like logistically, you can make it work, then I don't see why not. If you enjoy doing it every single day, I don't see why not. But then that also ties in with learning how to invest because what investing does, like in property, is it allows you to have the breathing room and take away the pressure that you would. might end
Heavily
up
reliant.
the reliance on your creative passion, whatever it is, it might even be creative, but like I think every entrepreneur is creative, but whatever it is that you enjoy doing takes the pressure away from making that fund your life because your assets fund you in the background, and that is like they give you a recurring income in the background and grow and store your wealth. So and lets it grow. So I think that's
Do
why
you
we
think?
always love talking about how they complement each other. Walking
Yeah.
dogs, we loved it. I could do that every day. I could still do it. I still do it. And do it for money. It just got to a point where it became um, location restrictive because
But you can also see why
that's
people would, um, why people go, oh, don't like, because I've seen lots of reels, recently about people saying like someone who was a ceramic potterer, and then they made, their business, made it into a business, and then they were like fell out. They were like, because they didn't like the business side. Like they should have
mm,
just kept it as a hobby and enjoyed it. But I think there's the way that you don't feel like you are putting everything in that one basket, isn't it?
mm.
Of relying on that one source of income is
Can I
basically it.
just say that there is a difference in type of person as well? Because you're good at your hobby doesn't mean you're a good business person. Doesn't mean you're a natural entrepreneur. And you don't need to force yourself to be one. Like, not entrepreneur is a personality type, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't mean like you're made for that. Maybe you are really good at having a corporate job, but also, making sure you learn to invest what you make from it so that you are spreading your risk, and then you can enjoy your hobby without the pressure of turning it
Yeah.
into your livelihood. I don't think you need to turn your hobbies if it's not your personality type. Because if you're an entrepreneur, I get outside of the like my hobby is also thinking about how I can make something grow as a business, like the creative ways of solving a problem. But not everybody thinks that way. It makes me think of when there was a woman on Dragon's Den ages ago, and she made a Hello Kitty shop. She pitched it to the dragons. She was like, yeah, Hello Kitty. But they were like, are you just making a shop that you just want to be in? And it actually isn't serving anyone's purpose, like anyone isn't really solving a solution. Basically, yeah. That doesn't make you an entrepreneur. Just go to a Hello Kitty shop. This is a great one in Bangkok that we've been to. Um, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, just because your passion is Hello Kitty doesn't mean you've turned it into a business. Just enjoy Hello
It's like when you,
Kitty.
yeah, exactly. So, what do you think is like, what do we do to make sure that we're keeping on track since we started? Since we realized like we've gone through different seasons, also that just comes with age and different personal goals and business goals. But what do you think? What have we done so far to keep on track?
Okay. So how we've done it, I think, and we've been a lot better at it. Like, it wasn't perfect at the beginning, but I think what we've been really good at maintaining is we actually do a joint vision board, which is just like our missions and our values in our business. And Ruth shared with me our vision board that we did about 7 months ago, and we're bang on. Like, every vision board that we make is right on track. Maybe one or two things slip because they weren't meant to be in hindsight, but like I would say 90% of whatever we write down happens
Hmm.
mysteriously. I mean, not that mysteriously, because obviously
Not mysterious.
psychologically you're like, okay, this is what we want, but we both mutually agree on the goal and the vision and the mission, and it will fall into place with your consistent action.
We
And we're
do
pretty
follow through.
consistent. Yeah.
Even when things don't, even if we also follow through with things that were never meant to be as well, to find out
Yeah.
we can
It wasn't meant to be.
cull it. It wasn't meant to be,
Yeah.
but we will follow through till death to to
Pretty
see if it's
persistent.
not meant to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, like, do we like it? And thing is, you won't know until you're in it whether you actually like it or not. So I could think of like when we thought of rent to service accommodation, we're like, this makes sense. I can see us enjoying it. We are putting together um, my degree, your degree. So I did geography with tourism, like hospitality kind of stuff, and Ruth did art, and we like she had a creative design, interior design, making a place that looked more beautiful, making up properties look beautiful and renting them out for for travelers or contractors. On paper it made sense. Doing it didn't suit us, and sometimes you do just have to try it to realize why it's not the one. um but I think part of our process of making this mutual vision board, this collaborative vision board, is we also look in the future. So don't just think about
The
how the
year.
next year is going to play out because it flies so fast. Think about what you want your life to look like in 5 years' time.
Mm.
Um, and for us, it was time and location freedom. So when you know the bigger picture, you can be like, okay, well, these short term visions are never going to work. Or what is happening now that isn't allowing for the long term vision? So selling our pet care business was restricting the location.
Hey guys, if you're new to property investing, we know exactly how hard it is to figure out where to start. That's why we created the Beginner's Roadmap. It's your guide to mastering the fundamentals so that you can move forward with clarity and confidence. Just hit the link in the show notes. Now, let's jump back into this episode.
I'd like to say as well, it's funny because with our pet care business, we were location free because we were never, or in the terms of we weren't sitting in an office, but it no longer became time free, I think,
No.
then, which is funny because we were like, we'd never want to sit in an office. So that we made sure that we were outdoors all the time. So we were location free, but now that evolved into country, into like outside of the city free.
Yeah, like we didn't, yeah, that's true. We were outside all the time. But
So it
I don't
was
know,
on a
I still
vision
wouldn't,
board.
yeah, I suppose, but it wasn't like international borders restricted. I think
You just
maybe that's
our
the
minds were bigger.
I think that's the other thing. Maybe being like weirdly specific. Like be absurdly specific. Because if you're not, I guess the universe will translate that into something that you didn't really have in mind.
Yeah.
So I think be weird, like oddly specific about what you put on this board. And you can be. You could be like, this, okay, I want to, what did we put on our board that was really oddly specific? It could be like, I want to earn this much by this time, in this way, with these many hours in the day.
Yeah. But it
And then
wasn't,
what
not,
that,
not even just that. Not even just that. It's also going. This is what we want our business to look like. You know, we're into lifestyle business, but also
mm,
what we also had a section of what we want our personal lives to look
yes,
like. So it wasn't like they go hand in hand. It wasn't
yeah,
just about only just work. It was also about what that then allowed our life to look like. Like I put down, I wanted my child to go to international school. That's
yeah,
not
like
happening.
oddly specific. Well, no, that's not even oddly specific, but you were specific. You were like, this is, I think when we both, because we, as business partners and obviously as sisters, when we both wrote down our personal goals, what was mine? Mine was like, I think mine was more like slow travel with my partner, now husband. Um,
But it's important to be able to see both directors. Like we need, like the end goal is to make sure that our personal lives I know like everyone seems to put us, because we are the honest property sisters, and everyone likes to think that we're just one person, which we're not. It's a gripe. It's a gripe, and I'm putting it there. But we are both individuals, and we both have different dreams. And if we want to have a business that runs well, we have to honor each other's dreams too, and that comes
Exactly.
first.
And having transparency of both of our dreams on paper. So say you were doing this with your maybe not your business partner, but say you and your life partner, whatever that looks like to you. You write down, okay, these are your dreams, these are your goals in this lifetime. Then how we gonna like all the decisions you make following that are never gonna stray off of the original goal.
Exactly.
I've been very clear. My vision board is like right next to my face in our bedroom. And then yours and mine, yours is like we're very clear and we write them down. I think we do them every 6 months because things can change as well. You're allowed to change your goals. Be
Yeah.
like, actually, I don't like the idea of doing that anymore. Like, I don't want my kid to
I
go
think
to.
as well, how this shows like we weren't aligned was like when we first started in our business when we were in our 20s, our goals were so much more based around what the business looked like over what our personal goals were like. We weren't so
Mm,
defined in our personal goals. Like, yes, it would be like travel, but it wasn't very defined on like what that like the personal life looked like. We
mm,
didn't, it wasn't very clear. And I feel like it's a lot clearer, but maybe that just happens, like alignment happens more, you're clearer with your alignment when you age, essentially, because you have more experience of what didn't work.
yeah. Yeah, you become more sure of who you are by the time you're 30. In your 20s, you're allowed to experiment. I kind of see it as like you're still learning. Yeah, you're still at a stage where you're figuring out who you are, what you like. And it's harder to see where life's going to go in, it's harder to think that much forward in your 20s. When you hit your 30s, I do think in terms of 10 years of what I would want to, like, what am I most likely to do now that I'm more sure of myself on the regular in 10 years' time? Um,
Yeah.
and that is having the time freedom, not have, like, I love working and I love developing our business and growing our wealth, but I also don't want it to take 8 hours of the day. I like,
Yeah.
I see it as like personal development to grow this and nurture this and have projects with you, somebody that I love. Like there's a lot of fulfillment in doing that, but I don't want it to take that long, like maybe 3 hours a day. That's the
It's
like
time and
eventually that's
energy
it.
management.
Yeah.
Alignment is also time and energy management and going before it hits burnout, because we've both been in that situation before. And I think
Yeah.
until you've experienced that as an entrepreneur, until you really experience what that feels like, which we do have an episode with Alice Darthill, so you can check that one out, all about it, time and energy management and how they are so different. But it
Mm,
basically, if you have never experienced burnout before, then I think you have to, maybe everyone has to go through that to be able to have better boundaries. And I think definitely in your 20s, you're trying so hard, or I can say, and from a personal perspective, I'm trying so hard to please everyone, and you end up putting your needs, other people's needs before your own. But I think maybe you naturally,
mm,
maybe um, from a women perspective as well, we naturally are inclined. Um, I know I'm generalizing, but but women tend to put other people before needs before their own,
mm.
because we're nurturing, we're caring naturally. Um,
Yeah.
but I think I definitely have better boundaries now, and I find it a lot easier to say no. Whereas, and I would
Yeah.
say I never did in my 20s.
Mm. But yeah, I think that's a great point you raise, energy management. It's like, okay, you can get excited or want to do things for other people, do things for your business, but then do you have like, is there realistic energy in the day? Do you want
But
to
also,
pay to delegate as well? And it's not just
yeah.
with the, like, I'm going to go back to the pet care business, but we did delegate because we knew delegating was a good thing. Like, how can you care for this amount of dogs to get that amount of income if you don't delegate? So we then ended up delegating to staff, but what that ended up being was you then took the role of being like human resources and staff management, and that I didn't want to do that. And I think the stakes that were there when it comes to a caring, looking after people who do a caring job, the emotions are just a lot higher. We have a
Mm,
team now. We have like what we have an editor, wonderful Angelica from the Freedom Geek, and the amount of emotional um,
communication.
communication, it's not necessary in this sort of delegation, you know?
But I think it's not so full on is probably a better way of
Yeah.
saying, because there's still like communication, but it's not as when you're running a business where you have to be HR so much. It's time,
Mm,
it's draining, and that's understanding that where like you really have a lot more joy in parts of the business
mm,
that doesn't suck your energy. Um,
yeah.
yeah. What's like the non-negotiables to keep our alignment intact? What would you say?
We do I think it's, didn't we say like 6 months address our vision board? Are we on track?
Yeah.
Does anything need changing? Have our personal goals changed? Are we fulfilling the things that need to happen in order for the bigger vision and mission to happen? So, just as an example, um, we said we would be able to live remotely or work remotely through our property business, and we've done everything in the lead up to Ruth's move to make sure that happened because the goal was extremely clear. Also, I think you learn when your gut feels off
Mm.
better as you get old. I keep saying as you get older. I think you can learn this
We are
sooner,
older. We've been. I
but
think
you can learn this
it's good.
sooner though. It's just you can learn this
It's
sooner. I think
maybe
you
not. We're not.
inherently learn as you get older.
I think
Yeah.
from an entrepreneur perspective, we have started when we were 2021, so we have been in the
Mm.
game for a long enough time to. I think if you're starting now at like our age, which we see a lot
Mm.
more people starting their own business, usually a lot of people start their own business in their like mid 30s or they're like close to 40. So it's quite like brand new, but we've been in this. We just started younger, but we've been in this for a while. So I think we have enough data that we've created from our life of running as an entrepreneur, that we now have learned to trust our gut. Does that, like, do you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Like,
you give
fresh. So
your
like I
risk
know it's like
aversion is
you're like, oh, we're so old, you're so young. It's like, well, we actually started ages ago. So we've built this tolerance, and we've built this data of what's worked, what's not, to get
mm,
to a point where we trust our gut more.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I see it.
Yeah, that's true. And I think our risk aversion is just as time's gone and things might have not worked out, our risk aversion in on our 20s is just different now to our 30s. And maybe I feel like sometimes when I'm explaining to my now husband, I'm getting used to saying that, says stuff like, you are, I make sure all the contracts are really tight and like agreements are really tight because when they haven't been, that's when we've been stung. There was
Yeah,
nothing to hold anyone accountable. Um, and
because it was clear.
it wasn't clear and things get lost in communication over just like written word Whereas if you are being a little bit anal, and it's better to be, and be like, okay, well, this is our agreement, take the terms and conditions, so we both know where the other person stands. And I think it's more of a sign of respect and professionalism that, yes,
Yeah.
Ruth and I have been through the experience of being like friendly, of course, like we're approachable, like, but also that doesn't mean, and just obviously through experience, that you can take us for a ride, or that you don't fulfill your promise to us, um, in a professional perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would also say as well, like from as business partners, I know that it's an extra layer that we're also related, but like it also with business partnerships, like if you are um yeah shareholders in a business partnership, you have contracts in place. Like there,
Yeah, we
you
have a
have
partnership agreement.
yeah, like you have it shows like no one crosses each other and you have mutual respect, and that can always be updated when life changes. Like, we've had to go through this when I decided wanted a kid, like
Mm,
so many things, nothing stays the same. And I think when we were in our 20s, when we um just fell into our business, there were so many things like that we didn't
mm,
even think to have in place that would
mm.
protect both of our own personal wants in life. And you only
Yeah,
learn that through so much trial and error of going, oh yeah, like things constantly change and need to be updated. All of these like procedures running, which, what's the term for it? Like SOP always has
mm,
to keep being updated to make sure that
mm,
everyone knows and understands their responsibilities.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's a mixture of like experience, data, and gut feeling, and having this board of like business goals, which is your financial health goals essentially, and then your personal goals, family, um, locate down to like all the details. That's going to help keep you on track. There's been instances where Ruth's like, I think we should do something this way, or maybe we need to include this in the way we do something, and I've done the same. And there has been the gut feeling nowadays is so much stronger when I'm like, there's something in me, and I don't have the words to articulate just at this second why I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I think
because
also that also comes from when we have seen other business owners do certain things where we individually go, we should be doing that.
yeah, I see why
And,
you do that. I see why that's a good idea,
but then the
but
other person goes, no, but my gut
no,
doesn't feel good about that. And then both of us are like, I know I can be stubborn personally. I'll talk for myself and be like, no, but I think we need to do it anyway. But then have time, like sit back, reflect on it. And I think we're quite good at being like, think about it for a couple of days,
yeah,
and then
depends
we'll
what
come
time of
back
the
to
month it is.
it.
But yeah,
And then we'll come back to it. And then a few days later, we then rediscuss whether it's still alignment or it's not. And I think a lot of the time I'd say it probably isn't.
yeah,
It's
I
just
think
like passion.
if there's a hesitation, usually that means it's probably not going to be in alignment. If it's not 100% yes, and this suits the future goal of my life design, how I want my life to look, then it's probably not the one. It's probably not the one. Um, and I also think
Do you
like,
think that,
mm,
yeah.
I was going to
I was gonna
say
say that
delegation. I was going to say delegation is a thing that's thrown around a lot, and we believe in it so much, which is why we love that we've partnered with the Freedom Geek for virtual assistants, which is almost non-negotiable if you want to give yourself some more time, um, like give yourself more time freedom if you have. a business, a digital business or a property business, it can be a real tool, especially editing. That takes a lot of time, and we know the value of having media assets and letting the world know what it is you do, because otherwise, how will they know? But like, obviously, the time to create the things take a long time. So certain delegations um, are really important at giving you back what it is you want. But I think it's also acknowledging when there's over delegation, like when we hired when you hire more than you need to. You don't hire effectively. You just like say, okay, I like this. I have this goal. I have this vision. I have this business idea, and then you're like, okay, but I'm gonna employ like blah 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 blah, and then you fall into the trap like we did of ending up being just like staff management, and that isn't what you ended up. That's not how you wanted to spend your
Doing it in
time,
love.
because you've got
Yeah.
people's lives in your hands, and income, like the finances in your hands. It's just, do you want to live with that pressure? Maybe some people do, and that suits them. But it's just knowing, like, is this day to day your choices that you make? What's that actually going to look like? How is that actually going to look with your day to day life? And do you want that there all the time?
Before we continue, here's a quick thought. Ever feel like there's just never enough time to focus on what really matters in your business? You don't have to do it all alone. As they say, a great team makes everything easier. That's why we've partnered with the Freedom Geek. Their talented Filipino VAs help us with tasks like admin and podcast editing, just like for this episode, giving us the freedom to focus on what really moves the needle. If you're looking to reclaim your time and to work smarter, then check out the Freedom Geek. All the details are in the show notes. Now let's get back to our conversation.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say as well, but can you also say that, but life is not always about it being like smooth sailing and easy. Like, you've got to do some hard stuff that like you don't, that you may not want to do, but that's just part of life. Isn't that what people would say?
Yeah, a little bit to a degree, but
I'm
I
playing
think
devil
it's, yeah, do it. But I think it's like, how long is that hard bit going to be? Is it short term, or is it your lifestyle now?
Yeah.
I think that's different. Like I can like say with the example of doing getting a new rental property. Okay, there's going to be a difficult patch at the beginning, but you know it's not going to be forever. You're going like
Yeah.
acquiring the property, doing it up, preparing
It's
it
like not
is
against the
a
hard
stage.
work.
Yeah, but
It's
once it's
nothing against
done,
hard work.
yeah, it's
It's
like
just that
short lived.
most of the hard work at the beginning and short lived.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then ad hoc it being hard. We're
Yeah.
not saying don't lift a finger and don't even try and like be a sloth.
No.
Otherwise, you're definitely not going to get anywhere. Otherwise, you may
Yeah.
as well don't invest.
Yeah.
Don't start a business if you don't like hard work. But we're saying hard work doesn't have to be forever. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the style of your job. Like, you don't have
Mm.
to act like you're a day trader every single day of your life if that's not what you want to do.
No. Um, and I think going back to Alice Dartnell's episode, is every move you're making giving you
And every
a
breath you're
return,
taking.
and every breath taking? I'm not watching you. Is it giving you a return on your investment and return on your energy and a return on your time? So I think that's a
Yeah.
good, and a return on your happiness and lifestyle. Like, is it fulfilling all those things, or is it just taking away from those things? I could
I
get,
also say
mm,
I say like not just your vision board should be audited every 6 months, but I think from a personal level you should audit just your well-being every month.
mm, mm,
Just
yeah,
because like I've always found that I'm a woman, I have a period, and if my period, I am fully exhausted during my period, I've done something prior where I have overworked somewhere or over pushed myself somewhere the week before that's forced me to be bedbound.
Yeah.
not bed bound, that's a bit extreme, I've exaggerated there, but like I am so exhausted from life, and that's, I have to reflect back of the month and go, what did I do that caused this? Because
Yeah.
I have had seasons of my menstruating where I have been absolutely fine because I didn't over push myself in certain areas. And it's also auditing that too, especially if
Yeah.
you're a woman running a business.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point to make as well. And it's allowing yourself to have a human life. Like, do you have, like, how much time does it take to be a happy, healthy human? You need time with your loved ones. You need time doing your hobbies. You need to eat well and you need to
Okay.
exercise. Have some time outside. This, like, your, and sleep well. All your fundamentals take time. And it's making time for those things to happen. Also, if you have a womb or you have family members that you need to care for, whether they're your children or your parents or anyone, whoever it is that you look after, do you have room for that? And do you have flexibility to, with whatever you're building in your business or your assets, do you have room? Are you allowing yourself to have room for those things to happen? Because they're gonna happen, like, because you need to have time for those things to happen. I think I used to operate where it was like, oh, I will work all day long and you forget to eat, and this business idea is so promising and exciting and it's going to make you this much money, but it's like, if I don't have time to have lunch with my loved ones, or I don't have time to walk the dog, is it like, that's not alignment, regardless of how much money the thing, or what opportunity, like business opportunities that thing could make me. That's not like the
Yeah.
thing that I value at the top.
I also remember times where I have been angry, I'd say angry and frustrated, when even Becky told me to have a break and walk or like eat something at times in our business, where, and I would be like, well, there's no time. And I have to go, what the hell is wrong with me? Like,
Yeah.
alignment is also going, having acknowledgement and acceptance of moving slower in your business than trying to race as fast as you can, but ignoring your health along the way because you chose to try and be as fast as you can. It's
Mm.
also, it's just going, okay, I'm gonna get where
For
I need to
for
get.
a short-lived amount of time, maybe you do that though. But if that is if your plan is that is the constant state of the thing that it is that you do, then no. I don't think if that's not where you want your life to be, then that's not your alignment. In
Mm-mm.
in a 5 year, like, look in a long term 5 year, how you want your
You can get
lifestyle to
very
look.
sick in 5 years if that is your constant.
Yeah. Um, yeah, there will be phases where you push through your misalignment, but because it seems like a good opportunity, but um, it's important to schedule in your diary at least every 6 months, when you can take a step back and course correct and make sure that what you're doing now isn't just your constant state of being, but of achieving your greater goal.
Mm.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to that? I think that is pretty much how we, very recently, to be honest, which is why we focus on this a lot recently and built the collective.
But it's also, yeah, it is, I was going to add actually, that making sure that you are surrounding yourself virtually or physically around people who are living the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
Are people who are just running their business, their lifestyle, the way that you want to be running yours too, because they're the people who are, you can get the advice that you want if something's not working. you can ask them for advice of how they're able to be the most aligned, because like we're also human, and some when we will dip in and out of alignment all the time. But when you are surrounding yourself with people who are prioritizing that as like non-negotiable for the lifestyle that they want to live, then sorry, my point is that if you are surrounding yourself with those kind of people who prioritize their well-being, then you are a product of your environment, and you will continue to also prioritize that too. If you
Yeah.
surround yourself with people, or people who are constantly on a tread, like their own hamster wheel, in their own little rat race, then you're going to become those same people too. That will become the
Mm.
norm.
That is very true. That is very, very true. And I think because we didn't have the right communities around us, not the right, just people who were in a build phase and hustling. All the hustle bros were really all we were seeing. We felt like
That
we had
was
to be like
our
that too.
that was our norm.
Yeah. And but I think even with Ruth, now that you're in Malaysia now, your environment's changing. The people that you're meeting are changing. You're meeting other expats who are also seeking a more balanced lifestyle. Not balanced. I don't like saying balanced lifestyle, but a lifestyle by design. So
Mm,
your life is about the things that you value, not filling it with work, which is what
mm.
other people tend to do, at least in the Western world. Like, how do we fill up every hour of the day with work as opposed to this?
Overproductivity.
Yeah, yeah, do it faster, do it more. It's just like, can we
Yeah.
just like go outside for a
Shit.
second? Yeah. um, yeah, but yeah, I think those are main methods to staying aligned. If there's any other ways that you would add to remain aligned in your choices, with your choices in business and life, please let us know, because I think this is a topic that really needs to be shared a lot more. I think vision board, just summarize vision board, check it every 6 months, include your business in it and your personal goals in it, so that you always remain on track and be oddly specific about it. And diarize when you and your loved ones and your business partners, um, your life partners in business and just family, whatever, make sure you meet up about it and make sure it's all on track.
Mm.
Listen to your gut. If it ain't a hell yeah, it's probably a no. I'm so sensitive to stress, I think, because it's like when you've been burnt out before, you're like, you just so never want to go there again. If there's like
Yeah.
a niggle, you just don't want to entertain it like for too long before you make a decision. So listen to
Mm.
your gut. Is it going to serve your well-being? Because you have to
Your
make
business is going to
room in
survive
that.
if you're not looking after your well-being.
Yeah. And what are your priorities? For us, it was time, location, freedom. Are they the same for you? Does your business offer you that? With us, service accommodation didn't really do that. When we're too distant from the heart of the business, it's problems end up coming up. Um, how many hours do you want to spend in a day working? And how much do you want to spend with your family? How much do you actually want to spend looking after raising your children yourself directly? Do you want to be there when you take them to school and bring them back?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
alignment.
That's alignment. And if you're ever struggling with whether something's aligning for you, um, we literally have created a collective that you can join, and you will have a whole community board of other aligned intentional wealth builders who are building their lives by their design in there. And if you're ever stuck with a choice and whether you think it's a good one to take or not, then we're also in
Oh,
there, and
yeah.
it's a library full of resources that contribute towards making sure that you are building aligned wealth and an intentional lifestyle. So join the Aligned Wealth Collective. The link will be in the description below, in the show notes below, wherever you're listening from, or wherever you're watching this from. Yeah, and I hope that helps.